There's a movie trope that really bothers me that you've probably never noticed before. It's when there's some sort of alien invasion or they found an extraterrestrial artifact and a character or a scientist says, oh, well, whatever it's made of isn't even on the periodic table. And what they mean to convey is that it's exotic, it's technologically advanced, it's beyond our understanding. But really, it's just kind of lazy writing and shows a fundamental misunderstanding of what the periodic table actually is. So what the periodic table isn't is just a simple list of materials that we know about. It used to be that, and then this guy named Dmitry Mendeleev decided to put all of the known elements in order of increasing weight, and he found that not only was the weight increasing in predictable amounts, but certain physical and chemical properties were also repeating themselves on regular intervals, or periodically, hence the periodic table. Because of this regular or periodic pattern, Mendeleev was actually able to predict the existence of certain elements that had not been discovered yet. So, if aliens had invaded in the 1870s, they could have a spaceship that's made of something that is not yet on the periodic table, but that we had a pretty strong idea existed. But over the last 150 years, since we know what we're looking for, we've filled out the periodic table pretty well and found that most of these elements match Mendeleev's prediction pretty well. Okay, but how do we know we didn't miss any? Like, maybe there's some mysterious element X hiding between, nitrogen and oxygen on the periodic table. Well, as we learn more about atoms and their structure, we found that what makes an element is the number of protons in the nucleus. So hydrogen has 1, helium has 2, lithium has 3, oxygen has 8, etc., etc., etc. And since you cannot have a fraction of a proton, that means that there is no room on the periodic table between element 7, nitrogen, and element 8, oxygen, for there to be another element. Okay, but what about the end of the periodic table? Can't we just keep adding protons until we reach an element that we haven't discovered yet? Well, yeah, and we've actually been doing that. See, everything past uranium on the periodic table is unstable. It doesn't exist naturally in the universe. So we've been using nuclear reactors and particle accelerators to create them. And guess what we found? They're highly unstable. They break down into other elements pretty quickly, sometimes in a matter of seconds. So not exactly something that you want to be building a spaceship out of. All this to say that when it comes to practical things that you can build a spaceship out of, the periodic table is pretty much complete. So when you're saying that something isn't on the periodic table, what you're actually saying is that it's not made of matter, that it has a fundamentally different interaction with things like light and gravity, electricity, and all the other forces. But Craig, it's science fiction. Anything is possible. Maybe it's dark matter, maybe it's antimatter, maybe it's some other strange thing. And yeah, absolutely, that is a wonderful premise for a science fiction story. What would a society look like that evolved with totally different laws of physics? How would they interact with us? But the movies that say things aren't on the periodic table have no interest in exploring that. They simply say, this isn't matter, and then proceed to show you something that absolutely acts like matter. Namely, that the US military can blow it up. It doesn't make sense. It's lazy writing for which there is a very simple fix. Because while there is an essentially finite number of elements, there's a nearly infinite number of ways to combine those elements. So you can just say something like, oh, it's an alloy that is beyond our understanding. It's an isotope that doesn't exist on Earth. It's a compound we've never seen before. It's a polymer that is beyond our understanding. All of which conveys that it is exotic, it is technologically advanced, and beyond our comprehension, but no material science or chemist is ever going to blink an eye at.